There is a test that an individual must take to qualify for the United States military known as the ASVAB. Let's explain it. What's up, friends? Welcome to an all-new video. In this one, I am explaining the ASVAB, giving a little bit of a breakdown and explain how it kind of works and how the scoring system sort of works a little bit, so that hopefully you have a little bit better of an understanding as to what the heck this test is that you're required to take before you can join the military. So the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, otherwise known as the ASVAB, is required to join the United States military. Each branch of service has their own kind of requirements for it, but we're going to kind of break down a little bit of the sections of the ASVAB and the scoring system of the ASVAB so that you hopefully have a better understanding. So the test is a timed event. Each section of the ASVAB has its own specific time requirements that you must, complete within that time frame. But basically, if you did the entire test, it'll take approximately 3 hours. The test can be taken at multiple locations. A lot of people take it during high school, but in some cases, maybe if you weren't interested in the military while you're in high school, you can still take it at like MEPS or a recruiting station. And there is two different versions. There's a computerized version that actually has less questions than the other version, which is a paper version. And the paper version is basically like a little booklet, and you have like a number 2 pencil, and you go through the questions, and you have to fill in little bubbles and all that stuff to complete it, whereas the computerized one is just simply done on a computer. Now, just to understand a little bit of differences between the computerized version or the paper version. The paper version a lot of times may be done at like high school, but not always, but that's a common one that I've seen it used at. Whereas at MEPS or recruiter station, it's most likely going to be the computerized version, which the computerized version does have a little bit less questions, but it is also done a little bit differently. So when you're doing the paper version, usually it has some kind of government official that is kind of conducting it. So you have a time limit for the first section. You do that, first section as a group. They tell you when to start, when to begin, all that kind of stuff. And when you're done, you have to wait for everybody else to finish or for that time to expire before moving on to the next section. Now with the computerized version, it is still timed, but it's a little bit more of a self-paced kind of thing. So if you're working on that first section and you complete it, you can simply move on to the next section without having to wait for everybody else to finish. So next I'm going to talk about what the different topics or subjects of the ASVAB are made up of so that maybe you know what to study or just know what to expect. But also down in the description below, I've also got some links to some places online where you can actually do some practice tests to help you study for the ASVAB as well. So here are the ASVAB test areas. It's going to include general science, arithmetic reasoning, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, mathematics knowledge, electronics information, auto and shop information, mechanical comprehension, and assembling objects. So from those subjects, some of those are combined together to create different scores that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Those scores are what determines your eligibility for a particular branch of service, as well as the job that you qualify to be able to do in that branch of service. So I'm going to list some of those areas for that scoring system. On the little graphic that you'll see on screen, it also shows what is used to make that scoring. If you want to pause the screen to be able to look at it a little bit better, feel free to do so. But those areas are going to include an Armed Forces Qualification Test, or the AFQT, a clerical section, combat section, electronics, field artillery, general maintenance, general technical, mechanical maintenance, operators and food, surveillance and communications, and a skilled technical section. Now the most important one is probably the Armed Forces Qualification Test, or that AFQT score. That is the score that determines if you are eligible for the particular branch that you want to serve in. And the score that you need to get into the branch of service that you're interested in depends on if you have a high school diploma compared to a GED. So for the United States Army under a Tier 1, which is with a high school diploma, you're going to need to at least score a 31 in that AFQT area. And if you did not receive a high school diploma, but you do have a GED, then it is going to require a 50 to join the United States Army. Now those other scoring sections kind of make up how they determine if you're eligible for the job that you want to do in that branch of service. So as an example, in the United States Army, if you want to be an 11 Bravo, it's going to require an 87 in the combat section. Now, if you want to know what the ASVAB score requirements are going to be for maybe an MOS you're interested in, you can always Google it. I'm also kind of incorporating that in this series that I'm doing for Mondays called MOS Monday, where I do usually briefly talk about the qualification for the ASVAB for that particular MOS that I'm talking about in the video. Now, if you've already taken maybe the ASVAB score and you're curious about what MOSs maybe you qualify for, then I'm going to leave a link down in the description that takes you to the Army's website. They have an actual area where you can enter your different scores from your ASVAB and then hit go or search, and it'll tell you what different MOSs you will qualify for based on those ASVAB scores. So there you go, that is the general understanding of the ASVAB. There's a little bit more complication to it in different sections, but hopefully this kind of just gives you a little bit of understanding as to how the ASVAB works a little bit, how it kind of determines your career path for the military, of what job you'll be able to get into, and maybe help you kind of see maybe where you need to study to be able to get the job that maybe you're looking to get into in the military. I took my ASVAB when I was in high school. I think I just took it just to get out of class because it got me away from class. So I kind of goofed off when I took it and didn't really score that high on the ASVAB, but it was good enough to get me into the Army and get whatever job. At the time I didn't really care. I won't get into my whole Army story in this video. I've already talked about it before, but it is good that if that is something you want to get into, to study for the ASVAB so you can get a really high score, because that will open up doors for you as far as re-enlistment bonuses sometimes if you have a good high enough score, as well as hopefully get you into the job that you're interested in doing in the military. So for any of you that might have any more questions about the ASVAB, you can leave some questions down below in the comment section. I'll try to answer them if I can, or maybe some other people can help me out and answer them for you. Also, I'd love to know what MOS you're interested in joining. If you are someone who's interested in being in the military, whether it be Army, Marines, or whatever, leave a comment down below. What job are you looking to get into in the military? For any of my veterans or active duty out there, leave some comments down below. I'd love to know, did you score high enough on the ASVAB to get into the MOS that you wanted to do? For me, I didn't, but I'm kind of glad I didn't get into it because I was gonna be a mechanic, and I really don't think I'd really have the patience to be a mechanic. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you want to check out some of my other videos, I got some recommendations over there, and down in the description there are some links to my social media and more. Thank you so much for watching. I'm ChristopherChaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.